You've heard the slogan 1,000 times, safe and effective. But what if the truth wasn't in the slogan, but in the reports they buried, the testimonies they silenced, and the patterns they hoped you'd never connect? For decades, thousands of people have stepped forward saying the same thing: I trusted the system. And something happened. The question isn't whether injuries exist. The question is why the world was trained to pretend they don't. The hidden history. This story didn't begin in the last decade. It began the moment the first adverse reactions were documented and quietly minimized. In 1986, the US government passed a law that did something unprecedented. It granted pharmaceutical companies immunity, total protection from liability for vaccine injury. The public was told it was necessary, but it had a side effect. Once accountability disappeared, transparency began to disappear with it. Over the years, the federal compensation program created to handle injuries paid out billions to families. Billions. Yet the public message never changed. Injuries are rare, extremely rare. The checks were real. The silence was louder. Parents submitted medical records. Doctors filed incident reports. Scientists raised questions. But instead of honest investigation, many encountered a strange wall, a refusal to connect dots that were clearly on the same page. And while the official narrative stayed polished, peer-reviewed studies on autoimmune reactions, neurological complications, and inflammatory syndromes kept surfacing, then fading quietly from public discussion. Because the pattern has always been the same. When data aligns with policy, it's amplified. When data threatens policy, it vanishes. The modern playbook. Fast forward to today. We live in a world where social platforms remove testimonies, not because they're false, but because they're inconvenient. Search results are curated. Dissenting doctors, once respected, are labeled suddenly dangerous. Whistleblowers risk their careers for simply saying, "Look at the data." But here's the darker part. Hospitals are discouraged from linking injuries to vaccines without definitive proof. Yet the reporting system requires doctors to make the report only if they are certain. A paradox engineered to keep numbers low and confusion high. Pharmaceutical companies fund the studies used to declare their products safe. Regulators rely on those studies. Media relies on those regulators. And the public relies on the media. It's not a safety net. It's a circle, and everyone inside it points to someone else. Meanwhile, adverse reaction databases overflow with entries: neurological events, sudden inflammatory responses, long-term symptoms, cases still being unraveled. Behind every number is a human being, but behind every human being is a system terrified of acknowledging them, because acknowledgement leads to accountability, and accountability costs billions. But the truth is simple. If an injury can happen to anyone, it deserves honesty from everyone. Silencing the harmed doesn't protect trust, it destroys it. When a system refuses to investigate the patterns, the people must. When institutions prefer comforting narratives over uncomfortable facts, consciousness becomes rebellion. This isn't about fear. This is about clarity. This is about informed choice, something no government, corporation, or algorithm has the right to interfere with. Every time someone asks, "Why can't we talk about this?" the silence becomes a little harder to maintain. Truth doesn't shrink under scrutiny. Only lies do. Look deeper. Ask harder questions. And remember, in a world trained to dismiss the injured, listening is an act of courage. Awareness isn't dangerous. Silence is. If you want more videos like this, please like, comment, and subscribe to Narratives Exposed, where we actually do the research. So we seriously advise that you do the same.